Welcome to Pandora's Box. I'm Leila Benelli and I will be your host for the show. And I'm joined by the beautiful Felicity guest who is no stranger to the world of activism. Felicity, how exciting is this?
It is so exciting. I hardly slept last night because I just couldn't wait to start today. Welcome viewers and welcome to Pandora's Box. Thank you, Leila, for this incredible journey that we're going to do together.
Yeah, I must say I'm also very excited, embarking on this absolutely completely new journey for both of us. So we're going to be talking about all different issues, things that you guys are going through, questions that you have, and we don't claim to be the experts on anything. So we will be engaging with experts in the industry, lawyers, advocates, all those people that can give us the real answers. What we merely are going to be doing is to uncover the issues and uncover the things that really matter and open Pandora's box, so to say. So Felicity, please share with us, what are we going to talk about today in our very first episode?
Today we're going to be unpacking cultural marriages, which in previous years, people who got married under cultural custom marriages didn't really have very many rights, particularly post-marriage. So there was a precedent set last year where the president was taken to High Court, and the ruling was that women's rights in cultural marriages will now be recognized and given official status as other traditional, normal in our legal system marriages.
I think it's important that we emphasize, when we are going to be talking about certain people, we will be discussing a person, and of course for the protection of our guests or our members that we are discussing, we will use the phrase or the name Pandora for the female and Zeus for the male.
Absolutely. So let's have a look at Pandora. She got married when she was 19, which is very common, particularly in the Muslim culture, and not expecting her marriage to not be for the rest of her life. Pandora's scenario is she had 3 children, and they bought a house about 8 years ago, and it was registered in Zeus's name, which is fine while you're married. You think that you have security, but when things turn out as they have for Pandora, she now has no rights to fixed property because it is in Zeus's name, and she has 2 minor children still. What are her protections in terms of future maintenance to look after these children and to be able to provide for them underneath the Children's Act, which says to provide housing, education, healthcare, and how does she get protected now? Because this is not something that a lot of women, not just in custom marriages, actually think about, because we don't get married thinking we're going to get divorced, do we?
So the scenario that you just explained about Pandora is a very common one, especially in the Muslim community. Get married young, you never worked because Zeus doesn't want you to work. This emotional abuse of you stupid or you too stupid to work. So the woman gets told that she shouldn't work because she should really be taking care of the children. What do you do in that situation where you are? I mean, I can just put myself in that situation. I'm sitting on the bed and just my hands in my hair and thinking, what now? What is the first step that a woman in that situation should take?
Go and get an interim order, which is called a Rule 43, which is a High Court application, and that normally comes with some costs. Alternatively, to make law more accessible to ordinary people who really don't have the finances to go to the High Court route, you can approach the Magistrates Court now, which doesn't cost anything other than a summons to deliver to the sheriff. So that makes it a lot quicker and a lot more affordable. So in the interim order, what she would seek is interim maintenance. And in the case where she has not ever worked, then she would seek spousal support. Mm-hmm. And that would normally be put in place just until it's made official through the divorce process. All marriages are by default community of property unless there is an alternative contract in place. So if you don't draw up a contract like an antenuptial or an antenuptial with accrual, then by default you are married in community of property.
But then the downside is that community of property means that the debt is also yours.
Correct. The debt and the assets. So the joint estate, we'll unpack the different marriages with a legal representative as we go. So those are the basic requirements or the basic premise for most marriages. So Pandora is feeling a little bit more relieved because she doesn't feel that she's now stuck with all this debt. And also the fact that the house was registered in Zeus's name, she has claim to half the value of the house. So Pandora now is in the process where she is consulting with a legal practitioner who's guiding her through the process. So
and how is she paying for that? Is there no free legal aid? I know there's legal aid for women, or what other organizations are there that could possibly help somebody that does not have any money? Because you don't want to put yourself in debt when you don't even have money. And how do you make debt if you don't have an income? So it's this constant catch-22. Is there no free legal aid available for women?
There is free legal aid available for women. The unfortunate thing is that there is a means test to get free legal assistance, and your options are through legal aid, which is the government, or probono.org, which is where a lot of the legal profession do their pro bono hours. Mm-hmm. But the problem is actually getting somebody, particularly under Muslim rights, which is a fairly new ruling, that understands the legal significance of that particular ruling at the end of last year. So you could go to somebody who has handled marriages before, divorces before, but they don't actually understand how to reference it back to the significance of this ruling in end of last year. And the problem that you also have is the consistency of the person that you're getting from legal aid, because they take on so many cases. So it could be criminal, it could be family law, and they could swing with the long postponements in between. And because you're not paying for the legal services, you're really pretty much at the mercy of what they're prepared to do for you. That's a downside of it. So a lot of people eventually end up having to borrow money to go and see somebody, because if you're paying, then you have a lot more leverage about the results that you expect from the person that is representing you legally. So it's very murky. It does very often sound so easy. The adverts say legal aid or probono.org, but the reality is very, very different once you actually get going. But it's perseverance, and it's also knowing that eventually there will be a result if you don't give up. We give up so easily because we feel so powerless. And I think in Pandora's Box, part of our objective is to really give women hope that in spite of how severe the situation is, that by asking the right questions and talking about these things and bringing these topics more into the public domain, that a lot more women would become educated, and also that our justice system starts taking women's rights and children's rights a lot more seriously.
Which it's not.
No, it's not.
It's not. So out of our own experience, I would like us to give Pandora and all the other Pandoras in exactly the same situation a bit of practical advice out of our own experience. And then I would like us to cross over to Aisha Karim, who is in Durban, and she's going to be joining us via the internet to give us the real legal advice, because we are not legal practitioners, so we can't do that. So, in your personal experience, what is the advice that you would give her in her current situation?
I think it's important for Pandora and all the other Pandoras out there is to not panic and don't sign anything or agree to anything, because if you do, you're already possibly setting yourself up to be taken advantage of, and probably it's not in your best interest. So I would say don't sign anything, don't agree to anything just yet, and go and seek counsel from somebody that you trust, preferably somebody who's gone through something similar, and then go and get some kind of legal advice. Now, fortunately, with social media, there's a lot of help out there. So our child maintenance difficulty is one platform, and then there are other legal opinion platforms available on social media where women can really go as quickly as soon as it happens to try and get some immediate advice. So my advice is don't act, don't do anything rashly, definitely don't sign anything.
So I want to say to you, if you feel like giving up today, ask somebody close to you just to come and cuddle, maybe watch a movie, just forget about all these things just for a minute. And sometimes just speaking about it really makes a difference.
Women understand the language without it having to be spoken, because it's only when you've been through this that you can really empathize and understand what the other Pandora is going through.
At this point in time, I do want to invite Aisha Karim to come onto the show, and we're going to connect with her. So we'll be right back after this. Welcome back to Pandora's Box. I would like to welcome Aisha Karim, all the way from Durban, coming to us via the internet. I love technology. Aisha, welcome to the show, and thank you so much for being with us tonight.
Hi ladies, thank you for having me on the show, Felicity and Leila. This is such an amazing initiative, and Pandora's Box is something that I am certain is going to attract a huge amount of success and positive feedback from its viewers. I myself am very, very enthusiastic and intrigued by the concept of it all, and I'm really excited to join you guys today to help you with debunking this seemingly complex area of law.
Hi Aisha, let's just get into it pretty quickly. I think one of the big concerns that women have when they're in this situation is, I have no money and I have no qualifications, so what am I going to do? So let's kick off with, is she entitled to some spousal maintenance until such time as there's a settlement in the divorce and hopefully Pandora can get a job?
Yes, in terms of our law, she would be allowed to claim spousal maintenance because she's never worked a day in her life, as you've mentioned. She has no idea what it is to go out there and work, and it's not a short period of time to say she was married for a year or two, and she does have an education, and so she can actually find some form of employment. This is a situation where this woman was, for a very excessive amount of time, at her spouse's whims and fancies, and so she was really available to him. She was available to him to take care of the house and take care of the children, and she was not compensated for that in terms of monetary. So she wasn't given a salary for doing that, but she was taken care of. Her needs, her financial needs, are taken care of by her spouse. And so upon divorce, she's absolutely entitled to spousal maintenance. The courts will help in terms of the fact that your attorney would then raise the case of Khan versus Khan, or there are other judgments with similar the circumstances, and the court would then have to accept that this marriage is a valid marriage, well, not a valid marriage, but that the spouses should be included under the definition of a spouse for the purposes of spousal maintenance.
So in the case of the debt and the assets, what happens there?
In the case of Ryland versus Idros, this judgment really went into that in quite a lengthy, in quite a bit of detail, explaining that although this marriage may not be recognized in terms of legislation, we cannot deny the fact that this marriage, that it's a contract. And it may not be a written contract, it may not be a business contract, but it's most definitely a contract in that there were certain responsibilities and duties on the part of both spouses. There were certain things that were required from both parties. And in your particular situation, it was that it was agreed that the husband would pay the debts that were on the wife's name, because of course she had no way to pay those debts, right? So it was an agreement between the two that the debts would be put onto her name and that the husband would pay for it. One of the other consequences that has followed from this marriage is that the wife would live in this house essentially without giving any sort of monetary compensation for that she would obviously take care of other things like household necessities. She would, take care of cooking and cleaning and seeing to the kids, the domestic aspect of running a house. So this judgment really goes into that in quite a bit of detail, and it recognizes that whether or not you want to see this as a marriage, there are consequences, contractual consequences that flow from this marriage. So my answer would be that she would have a very good chance to get those debts paid by her husband. And then secondly, in terms of the house, I would say that there was definitely a contract in place between the two of them, stating that she would be doing or contributing in other ways and that the husband would be paying for it, but essentially that house belonged to the both of them.
Are women's rights protected by the ruling that was made last year?
I say this really with a lot of sincerity and a certain amount of irritation. The legislator and the government has done nothing. They've done nothing to protect Muslim women. There's been a Muslim marriages bill that has been a bill from the time I was at university, which is in excess of maybe 10 to 12. How old am I? Well, it's been a while. I don't want to give the exact amount because that might give away my age. But in excess of 10 years. The Muslim marriages bill has been a bill for 10 years. So if you're watching this and you're a Muslim woman, I'm going to say don't hold your breath. In terms of getting legislation in our favor, I would say approach the court. If you feel that you have been done down by, if you feel that your marriage should be recognized, and like in the circumstances before us today, if you feel that there is something that needs to be done in order for you to get justice, sitting around and hoping and wishing and saying, oh, my rights will never be recognized in this country is not going to get you anywhere. You're going to have to actually instruct an attorney and tell them, this is what I've been through. This is my current situation. How can we get me a positive result or a result, some sort of result? The more people that go forward and the more individuals that approach our courts would give more pressure on the system to give Muslim women, the rights that we deserve and that are rightfully ours.
How significant was the precedent set last year by the Women's Legal Resource Centre?
I really must commend Judge Desai on his judgment in this matter. It's about a 58-page judgment, so I cannot get into the full details of it. But the long and short of it is that the judge very clearly set out what are our constitutional rights, and really went into the Constitution and said it is obvious that Muslim women need to have their rights protected, and they've got to be protected by at the very least having our marriages recognized as legal. He went on to give Parliament and the President 24 months in which to amend the necessary legislation in order to recognize these types of marriages. He also went on to say that, amongst other things, that Muslim marriages should be able to be dissolved. And when I say dissolved, you should be able to get divorced in terms of the Divorce Act, which means that all of the remedies that are available to every other woman in this country, every other married woman in this country, should be available to Muslim women. And that's what it should be, and that's what Judge Desai said. Whether or not Parliament actually passes the relevant legislation within 24 months remains to be seen. My personal opinion is that's not going to happen for various political reasons. I don't see legislation ever being amended, or not ever, but not in the near future, unless Muslim women start taking a very real stand and a real stance towards standing up for your rights. Choice is yours, ladies. There are remedies available. It just means you got to be in for the hard fight.
Thank you so much, Aisha. We really appreciate your time this evening with us.
Thank you, Aisha.
Good luck to you guys on episode 2 and going forward. I hope that I will be a guest on the show again soon.
Aisha's given such incredible advice. And I hope that there's a lot of Pandoras out there that will be able to get some value out of Aisha's contribution.
Well, that certainly sheds quite a lot of light on the issue that Pandora is currently struggling with. And hopefully for our viewers, this is some sort of recourse, or a resource of information. And this is, I think, the intention behind the whole show, is that this becomes a place where you can go and actually just listen to the information that we're sharing here, that our experts are sharing, and hopefully this will help you. Okay, so on Pandora's Box, we're also going to be giving away wonderful prizes. We have the Abundance Diary that is created by Linda Harvey, and we will be telling you all about that. We also have the Worry Buddy that Felicity has brought to life. You want to just quickly talk to us about the Worry Buddy?
So the Worry Buddy is a social enterprise that will, in a short period of time, provide employment for single mothers who are unskilled and generally relying on a social grant of 410 Rand. So this is a very quick skills transfer. So the women will get employment, and the ultimate beneficiary is a child. So children don't always tell us their problems, do they? No. We think we've got, even if we have the greatest relationship with our children, they don't tell their parents everything. So they go to bed and they don't have an outlet. So the Worry Buddy is a comfort tool and a comfort buddy where they can write their concerns, their fears, their anxieties, the friend is bullying them, and they can pop the piece of paper into the Worry Buddy's mouth, and he essentially swallows him and relieves the child of carrying this burden on their
So it's like a little secret between the child and the buddy.
Well, maybe when you and I were younger, we had those journals with those silly little keys that
Yes,
we thought were
yes.
really... Yeah, that's kind of the same thing, a modern form of that. And when the child is out, then mum and dad, or mum or dad or caregiver can actually go and have a look and go, oh my gosh, maybe the child reveals something that has really been carrying, and go, oh, I didn't realize that my child was being bullied at school.
So we're going to be giving away a Worry Buddy or a diary, perhaps a holiday, perhaps some bracelets, or all these exciting things that we're planning. But the key here is it's all female entrepreneurs that have come out of difficult situations and then created something amazing that they end up selling, and that ends up being their form of income. So Pandora's Box is all about upliftment, helping women help themselves and be completely empowered in their own unique feminine self. So the Worry Buddy is your initiative, and I really do love it. I think it's fantastic. So I hope that people will go out there and buy a buddy. We will have all the details of all these female entrepreneurs on our page, on our Facebook page, as well as our YouTube channel. Also on your CMDSA page, I'm sure there's information on there. So go to our pages, to our YouTube channel, watch the show, like, share, and leave a comment. And that's where we will be selecting the winners.
And also, you need to hashtag everything to do with these issues, women's issues, after looking, watching, participating on our show. Hashtag
Pandora Talks.
Pandora Talks.
Because she does. She is talking.
She's
and
finding
hopefully
her
you're
voice.
listening. And hopefully you're listening. She's finally has a voice.
She's finding her voice.
She's
And
finding a voice, yeah.
all of those Pandoras out there, hopefully we're going to be able to encourage them to all find their voices.
Fantastic. So with that, our first episode in the bag. Yay. I hope you've enjoyed it. We are looking forward to your feedback because the show is for you. So please give us your feedback. Let us know what you like, what you don't like. Be kind, because this is our first show. So please give us feedback. Let us know what you feel you want to know more about. If you are an expert and you do want to come onto the show, please let us know as well. If you would like to offer your services on a pro bono case, so please support a buddy. And with that, Felicity, well done. Thank you very much. And we look forward to seeing you next time on Pandora's Box.
Pandora's Box.
Good night.
Good night.